Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Ninja Warrior podcast. Tonight, we are going to be announcing the Stage 5 Ninja Awards for 2024, or in 2025. We did the same thing last year, dude. I don't think it's really that surprising that we're that late on this. Yeah, almost apologies, but there's a little bit of a quick turnaround because we did end up getting this out pretty quickly, at least recording-wise. I don't know how long it's going to take you to edit it. Well, to be fair, like, the Sasuke, the World Cup episode, that was pretty heavy because it was 90 minutes, because it was, an hour and a half long, but this one, it may be a decent length of time because we have a lot of categories to talk about, but in general, I don't think it's going to be that long. Hopefully not, because, like, those episodes are, like, so drained to recording sometimes when, like, they're just that long and we talk up a storm. Oh, yeah, we'll talk, like, personally speaking, when I talk and like for a very long stretch of time, my voice just starts to kill me. Like especially when like recording for like the gaming headband and stuff. That's when it really hits. Oh yeah, we only do that like a couple times a year, but like recording the gaming headband, it's like kind of crazy because we do episode after episode, and we do episode after episode until our voices are dead. That's basically how we do it, and yeah, it sometimes happens quickly, sometimes doesn't happen for a bit. Kind of varies on the day, Yeah, in general. But today, regardless of that fact, we are going into the Stage 5 Ninja Awards. This year is going to be a little bit different. We have a couple new categories, a little bit of a restructuring of it. And although it is technically still the same thing, it's still the same, a bunch of different categories. We nominated a whole bunch of different ninjas for it. And yeah, so this is what it comes down to. Now, dude, this season is very different. A lot of the categories actually don't function all that well because the season was filmed alongside season 15 in the same year, just aired within a different year. So anything from season 16 that was considered new would be considered new in season 15 as well, and they kind of just like contradict each other. So a lot of the categories here had to be modified for that to be the case. Yeah, and the first instinct of that is the first two categories we're going to be talking about: the breakout male and breakout female. Jesus Christ, what the fuck are these loadouts? Yeah, so both of these cases. So these were ninjas who, usually speaking, this category is for ninjas who never competed before this, rookies who did super duper well and surprised all of us by getting super duper far on the course. This season was very different because essentially the ninjas who were eligible for this category this time on were the people who just weren't given the call to be on season 15 as well as 16. The people who were only given the call for season 16. And that kind of way of, casting competitors on the season made the pickings for both categories very difficult. So because of that, there's no longer a male and female separator for the breakout competitor this season. It's just breakout competitor this season. It's just breakout rookie. That's the category. Male and female applicable. Yeah, and I think it is pretty crazy combining them. I mean, I feel like any other season you wouldn't do this, but like this season, it's circumstantial. Oh fuck yeah, like that's the reason. Going into it, we have Luke Beckstrand, Ishel Valentino, Gavin Obi, Jonah Brown, and Noah Bushnell. Now, you guys might notice how tight this is, and yes, it is really tight. Luke Beckstrand and Gavin Opie are the only two competitors here who made it to the national finals legitimately without any kind of wild card without any kind of one-off or any kind of help from the show's formatting. Noah Bushnell didn't even make it to the Vegas finals. He just hit a buzzer in the qualifiers and made it to the semis, which kind of just barely made me think he could really get in there. And then Jonah Brown, you might realize he's some random person from this season, but he was a rookie and made it to Vegas, so made sense. I think the biggest surprise personally for me in this category is Gavin Obi. Like straight up, like just came out of nowhere with a sickness, and that wasn't his entire story. Literally, he is the definition of a breakout rookie. Oh yeah, for sure. Like I think honestly for this season, there's no better definition for that than Gavin Obi. But we're gonna have to see who ends up winning and who we end up picking later on when we go to decide this. Yeah. Do you want to talk about like the history of this category? Oh yeah. So like, okay. So we met up for this episode, and that was that. And I had breakout female and breakout male set up as separate categories. However, I had literally no pickings for either one. Breakout male was pretty okay. We did have some decent pickings and some people that were kind of surprising rookies. But then for breakout female, we had Eshell, and then we had several females who were barely even mentionable in this season in general. And the only reason why they were there is because they were in the top five for the qualifiers and qualified for that position because they were rookies that season. That was really about it. Like, there was literally no other options. So yeah, that's why this category was combined into one, because there were no pickings. Like, literally, it just made the most sense. And yeah, we can go on to the more some of the more normal categories for this season, starting with the returning category, best comeback season. This is honestly one of my favorites, always to do every year, because this one, it's always different who has a comeback. Because physically speaking, if you had a comeback one season, it's because you did badly the previous season, or just had something bad happen. And it's kind of crazy, the fact that this lineup here, we got Sean Bryan, James McGrath, Kai Beckstrand, Joe Mawaski, and rounding out this is Max Feinberg. Any opinions on this group of ninjas? I think they're all very good picks. Like, all of them went out very early last season or had less than stellar results in the case of James McGrath. And them coming back and doing super duper well here is awesome. Awesome. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it's kind of crazy that James McGrath has made this list in seasons 14, 15, and now 16. And I think he has a really good shot this year. Oh, fuck yeah. Like, the amount of showtime he got was crazy and easy, and he almost made it back to stage 3 too, and he also completed stage 2, technically speaking, via his first run. And so same with Sean Bryan, and he actually moved on. Like, the two of them, so tight, and Bryan also too, because he's had a very weak seasons 14 and 15, and made it back to stage 3 for the first time since season 10. So yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, for Joe Mawaski and Max Feinberg, I was kind of touchy with putting Joe Mawaski here, but when I was thinking about it, I was like, well, he did make it into my most shocking fails video. He had a very lackluster year in season 15, but then he came back to get all the way to the final obstacle on stage 3. Like, that is impressive, and honestly, I will personally always, nowadays, will always link this as Joe Mawaski's last stand, just because of how interesting it was. So, personally speaking, yeah, I think Joe Mawaski is worth it. And Feinberg, this last spot was really tight, because I really didn't know who to go for. I was kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. I was trying to think, like, who was a big name, who had a big comeback this season, and my brain went Max Feinberg, because he's had some pretty decent results. And then in season 15, he went on to gamble unexpectedly. So seeing him conquer that and then get back to stage 2 and almost get to stage 3, and only really failing because of him being slow and him not really being much of a speed guy. Yeah, I guess like that kind of just was a deciding factor there. Yeah, I guess so. Next up, we got most shocking fail of the year, which, I'll be honest, was also quite tight from what you told me. Yeah, you look at the nominees. We got RJ Roman's fail on stage 1, Enzo Wilson's fail on stage 1, Nate Hansen's fail in the qualifiers, Matt Bradley's fail on stage 1, and Caden Lebsek's fail on stage 2. I'll be perfectly honest here, especially when constructing the most shocking fails for this season. That video that came out about a week ago at this point. Although, honestly, in my humblest apologies for that video being so late. Definitely not the plan. But it kind of just got lost in the transcript of me starting my senior year of high school, and school taking off the majority of my time, and us focusing on the end of the season, and then us trying to get together to do Sasuke World Cup. That kind of fell through the cracks. I find that video kind of fell through the cracks. And I'll be perfectly honest, when making that video, I was having such a hard time finding people who were actually shocking fails. And honestly, some of the people I put in that video, honestly, one of that shocking when I was watching. I just felt like, circumstantial wise, I can see them being kind of shocking to certain points of view. Who would you say were the ninjas from that? If I had to go back and say it, James Sanoa and Josh Salinas were probably the two that I would say were like that when making that video. Because I don't really feel like they were surprising. James Sanoa didn't even qualify for Vegas. Normally, he got in because Jay Lewis got injured. Which really is interesting to me because we know now that Jay Lewis went to Vegas and then got injured. So they probably sent out the invite for James Sanoa very late, and he had to make a very rushed flight there. So that's honestly really interesting to me. Oh yeah, I never even thought of it like that, but yeah, it is interesting. Yeah, but talking about these nominees, I feel like it's pretty obvious that RJ might end up winning this one for the fan vote side of things. Yeah. I'll be perfectly honest, RJ was probably just like up there for me. Like that was probably the most jaw-dropping moment this season. Um, yeah, generally speaking. You guys might wonder why Joe Mowalski isn't here, but like, there's a difference. As I said in the comment section of the most shocking fails video, when someone asked this question about Joe Mowalski not being in there, it's a difference between shocking and heartbreaking. Mowalski, it was sad, it was crazy, it was sad, it was heartbreaking, but honestly, you can't really call getting to the end of stage 3 shocking. It's just, you just can't. Yeah, like, and Joe Mowalski, like, he had such a good season. Like, he had his 5th season where he hit 4 buzzers. When he hit 4 buzzers going into stage 3, like, no other ninja has come close to that ever. Like, the most we've had is Sean Bryan doing that 3 times. From there, we have a little bit of a change. We usually have a category called Best New Obstacle, obviously highlighting all the brand new obstacles that come in every year. This season had 4 brand new obstacles, so obviously we couldn't do that this time around. Like, seriously, what even enough to nominate, period. Yeah, so what David ended up doing, and this sounds doing and proposing to us, was the best obstacle sequence. So, of course, where basically he ranked all the different courses in general that we saw during season 16, which included stages 1, 2, 3, and 4, or all the different qualifier variations and the semifinals as one course. And from there he nominated Stage 1, Stage 3, the qualifiers of the 1st and 7th episode, the qualifiers of the 4th and 6th episodes, and the qualifiers of the 3rd and 5th episodes. Yeah, this was pretty tight for me personally. When I was thinking about what to replace Best New Obstacle with, because we can do that category this year, this was my first thought, because I realized when walking through specifically the qualifiers, that I really liked how obstacles were able to come up in a sequence. I really liked the course design this year when it came down to obstacle by obstacle basis. Well, yes, individual obstacles like fucking the 4th okay, I'm gonna have to say it just because like I can't get around it. Obstacles like Duck Duck Goose, I didn't really like all that much, but it kind of went well with other obstacles in the qualifiers. So generally speaking, my brain kind of recognized that like something I could easily highlight instead of new obstacles individually was just how the course design was in general. So my brain came up with this idea. And to know as well, qualifiers, when deciding the bottom 3 picks, it generally just came down to favorites. And honestly, in my opinion, the semifinals course was kind of mid. This was kind of mid, and as I mentioned last year, never really liked it. I don't think this year was much of an improvement because not much changed. And then Stage 2, honestly, this is not really my pick for best Stage 2. It was honestly one of my least favorites, and not helping things to the fact that it's the same one for season 15, though. So you could even argue it's not eligible for the list anyway. Oh yeah, that's a big explanation, but like, yeah, you're absolutely right. I guess to note, should we list off all the obstacles that are available during for each course? I can list them on screen, honestly. I don't think I need to go into detail about each one. I feel like what I may do is, maybe, during the, when doing the votings, I might list the individual obstacles in the order to help with people deciding, what to pick. But honestly, I don't think there's much more to it. I just think, this was an interesting idea, and I personally think it was kind of clever to come up with it as a compensation for the lack of new obstacles this season. I guess like if we want to nominate a favorite new obstacle out of what we did get, my personal favorite was probably heavy metal. Huh. I think my personal favorite would have been Pizza Party just because of how dynamic that obstacle is, but I could see heavy metal being pretty good, pretty up there as well. Oh yeah. I guess if I had to pick heavy metal as well as my personal favorite, just because it was a unique obstacle that wasn't really all that crazy and over the top, unlike every other new obstacle that we did end up seeing this season. There really wasn't all that many. Like I said before, only four. Like we said before, only four. But out of all of them, with this heavy metal was really the only one that was like not overly stylistic. It wasn't really tech based. It was kind of unique. It was pretty cool. It had a big knockout weight. Like it was just really interesting in the obstacle to me, and I always liked watching it during the qualifiers. I personally think like it would have been a fine enough obstacle for like stage 1 or 2. Honestly, yeah, it probably could have replaced like was it Job Waco's from stage 2, if they wanted to make a change to the course. Yeah, on that tangent, like I really wish they did make some changes to stage 2 because it being the same course from last year really doesn't help this season stand out on its own. Oh yeah, for sure. Moving on to the next category here, we have Ninja Kill of the Year. In a similar vein here, this is the obstacles that have the biggest knockout weight. This time around, there's not really a preset for being a new obstacle. These are just any obstacles that had a big knockout weight. So, the nominees here are going to be Jawbreakers, the Gambler, Spin Hopper, the Jumping Spider, and the obstacle I can't say the name of, but legally obligated to, Duck Duck Goose. Yeah, don't worry, I'm not going to throw out that counter though, I'm still using it. Oh, yeah, god damn it. I knew you were going to, which is kind of why I wanted to avoid it, but like, I have to say it at least once so that way, you guys know it's on the list. But, yes, those are the nominees for that. This category is always crazy, figuring out what obstacles stuck with the most people and which ones were the most notable in that aspect. For me, that was always Slingshot last season, just because of how many races it ended early. This season, I think it's going to be quite interesting to see which one's going to win, you know? Oh, definitely. I think we're going to have to see, honestly. There's not really much more I have to add. Yeah, moving on, we have a brand new category, Sophomore Sensation. Probably my personal favorite of all the categories this season. Yeah, so, this is what my brain ended up thinking about when I started noticing that a lot of the people I was personally considering for breakout male and breakout female were actually in their second season competing versus their first. Is their first, and there were a lot of ninjas to where they did really well as this being their sophomore season. So my brain thought, hey, we can kind of nominate the fact that this is our second season, they're doing super duper well. So that's where I nominated Cindy Yee to nominate her amazing season. We also have Colton Scuster, who competed in season 14, fell super early, and then came back in season 16 to be a breakout star and make it all the way to stage 2 and almost to stage 3 as well. Competing stage 2, but not being in the top 4 one-offs. Noah Muniu and Nasa Gamble were obvious picks because this was their second season as well, and they got back to stage 4, and Noah almost fucking won. And then there's Taylor Green, who second season did just as well as her first season, and one obstacle better in stage 1. It's kind of sad that she won't even get another chance at it, but, you know, I like how I was able to highlight her here as a nomination. Oh yeah, I think this category is really interesting because sophomore sensation, that's kind of a term that's been thrown around in Ninja Warrior by Akbar over the years. So being able to use it for a category is kind of interesting and highlighting some bigger name seasons in different ways. I think that's really interesting. Yeah, for sure. The next category after that is gonna be the Stealthiest Ninja Award. This isn't really much of a award. This is more of a shameful thing. It's always been because these are the ninjas who weren't shown by the show. And we have some interesting ones here. I do think these are some more interesting picks. We got Joe Meisner, who, if you guys don't remember, was shown once during the semifinals and was fast forwarded throughout the rest of his time on the season. He was also the slowest finisher on stage 1 and was famously not shown for that for some reason. But yeah, I think he should have gotten more showtime, absolutely. We got Cam Baumgartner. Once again, for the fucking 3rd year in a row, he's on this list. And it's just sad how the fact that he's been here 3 times in a row is remarkable to me. Yeah, season 12 is the only year we did this where Cam Baumgartner wasn't religiously not shown. And that was the one season where he got spotlight. Every other season Cam has competed, it's just been nothing. And this is the huge example. Cam went all the way through the season up till stage 2 not being shown, and because all but one was shown in stage 2, he happened to be shown and ended up completing stage 2 as well, and bumped out just barely out of the top 4, one-offs coming very close to topping James Graff's one. Yeah, definitely. It's kind of unfortunate that Cam's like that. After that, we got Noah Munya. He barely got shown this season, getting fast-forwarded into the qualifiers and the semis, on stage 1 despite getting the fastest time of the night, and then on stage 2, him and Joe Meisner's one was the only race not to be shown in full, so that was something, and then he was shown on stages 3 and 4 because he kind of had to be at that point. But yeah, I think Noah Muni is probably the first ninja though that was the case. Like, Caden had a very similar thing happen where he wasn't shown until stage 2. H2, and I think if we did stage 5 Ninja Wars season 13, Caden probably would have made that part just because like he should have been shown because he was the last ninja standing. Noah Munio, same thing. Like, honestly, his stage 1 like, I kind of understand not showing his qualifier and semis one. They weren't really all that notable, though. Honestly, his semis one should have been shown because that was also he also got the fastest time over there, too. So, Noah, fastest ninja twice and not getting shown either time, like, that's kind of bullshit if you ask me. Yep, then we got Cal Blahores, who made all the way to stage 3, but wasn't shown until his stage 2 and stage 3 one. Now on stage 3, I was pretty loose because he was the first one of the entire course. And then we have Luke Beckstrand, who had the best season for a rookie this year, but was not shown until stage 2, where he got a full-on segment and everything, but, fell. So, like, for me personally, I was genuinely shocked they never showed Luke Beckstrand, especially his stage 1 one. Like, I don't know about you, but, like, I really would have loved to see that just because, like, it's crazy. Just because, like, he was a rookie, and, like, it's interesting to see him follow in his brother's footsteps. Oh, yeah, like, you can't tell me that, like, Kai's one on stage 1 was more interesting. No, it was not. Like, honestly, Kai, like, he had such a boring season this year. Like, I know, like, he made all the way to stage 4, but I'll be perfectly honest myself, I couldn't care less for Kai this season. And, like, it just feels so weird. And, like, yes, he fell early in season 15, but, like, yeah, his season is just really unremarkable, which is crazy to me because, again, he made it to stage 4. Yeah, it's similar to Asagamo, Noah Munio, and Hans Host from last season. Made it all the way to stage 4, but all 3 of those seasons were honestly not remarkable in any way, shape, or form. If they weren't in for best rookie, for breakout male, I don't know if we would have highlighted them more than nomination because, yes, this season's really weren't all that special in my opinion. That season, it just really didn't feel like they cared, especially in Han's case, because they really didn't show him, and then fast-forwarded his stage 3 one, and he cleared that. So, yeah, in that aspect, I think Luke Beckstrand would have been the more interesting person to see, especially since Kai got so much publicity during season 15 when he came back, too, and got the Mega Ball and stuff. Like, I think Luke should have gotten some showtime alongside his brother. Specifically Stage 1, honestly, if I had to pick, I want his Stage 1 to be shown. And well, yes, I'm glad he gets shown in Stage 2 and even got a segment there. Like, honestly, Luke just should have been shown more. Yeah. And with that, we got a couple. We have the two big categories: Best Male and Best Male overall Best Male Competitor and the overall Best Female Competitor. Which one do you want to go for first? We've always gone for Best Female before Best Male, so let's go into it. For Best Female, we got Taylor Green, Maddie Howard, Addie Herman, Abby Clark, and it was a tight pitch between Jessie Graff and Cindy Yee for me because they both got decently far. But I decided to go with Cindy Yee because I felt like her season was more impressive than Graff's. Well, Graff only got in because Lisa Hale only got into Vegas because Lisa Hale fell in the first obstacle. Well, Graff fell in the wing nuts and honestly should not have moved on with a run like that. Oh yeah, and like I think her going out on the wall was also like kind of disappointing. I mean, a not surprising kind of way. Like, I don't know if I was expecting Graff to actually clear Stage 1 at this point. Only especially since the fact that she hasn't been to Vegas since season 11. But, like, it just didn't feel like in the playing cards this year. So, yeah. But otherwise, I think these are pretty standard nominees, honestly. I don't think there's really much to say. Yeah, I do think it's interesting how, like, Addie Herman and Abby Clark, they've been doing super duper well and have become two of the strongest female ninjas in the field right now. And the both of them will also win the playing cards last year for Best Female too. Yeah, I think the big underdog here coming into this is Maddie Howard because she really wasn't someone I was personally looking out for, and then she made it all the way to the 7th obstacle on Stage 1 and timed out. Like, I think that was pretty crazy, the season she had. Oh yeah, huge surprise. And then Best Male, I think it's pretty obvious who's gonna fucking win it because this category is always fucking obvious. It's probably my least favorite category just because it always has to be the winner. It always has to be whoever was the last man standing that year. But the nominees are gonna be Vance Walker, Kayla Bergstrom, Nasa Galamore, Noah Munier, and it was kind of tight between Daniel Gill, Joe Mawowski, and Kai Beckstrand because all three of them had similar seasons. I decided to go with Joe Mawowski just because him having a 5th season where he hit 4 buzzers, even if he didn't make it to Stage 4, honestly to me his season was so surprising and so amazing to look at. I felt like he kind of deserved it, and plus like the amount of effort he put into that Stage 3 one, like that can't go understated, so I decided to pop him in there as kind of a way to like give him a bone, throw him a bone, and give him some recognition, even if like his season ended in very bad heartbreak. Yeah, so why did you look tight on Gil on this one though? Gil also made it to the last obstacle and had a really amazing season. Statistically wise, it was an improvement over season 15, where he hit every single buzzer up till Stage 3. Well, there he fell in the semifinals and on Stage 2 and only moved on because of his opponent falling early. So, yeah, it's just kind of coming out the cups of that. But in my opinion, in the end, Joe's was more impressive, especially since this season for Joe, I personally think it was like his last stand, as I mentioned earlier. So, like, I felt like giving that recognition made the most sense. And, the others, I don't think they were really all that tight, honestly. I think we had to nominate the other 4, especially Caleb and Vance. You know, Vance, like, it's so boring nominating Vance for this position, especially since, like, he won double total victory, that kind of thing. But, like, yeah, it's Vance Walker. I think, honestly, he deserves nomination, and honestly, him getting double total victory makes me really excited for his career going forward. Even if, like, this show may not go beyond this next season. But, like, I can see him, like, going on Sasuke, for example. You know, I can see them scouting him out and putting him on Sasuke. I have no idea if he's on Sasuke 42. Do not tell me if he was. I could definitely see it. So the fact that he is over the threshold of being a minor, so they might have been able to fly him out. But I don't think so. I feel like I would have heard about it if that was the case. And honestly, I don't want people telling us because we haven't seen Sasuke 42 yet. We wanted to record this first, and we're going to be watching that pretty soon and releasing the podcast of that probably at the end of this month or in February. That's kind of funny. Depends, like that podcast, I know that podcast can be very long. Oh, fuck yeah, like, if the World Cup took us that long to cover, Sasuke 42 is probably going to take us that long to cover. And hopefully speaking, it doesn't get, corrupted again. Or we just don't get to do it. Yeah, I'm going to try my hardest not to have that happen again. But, yeah, as abruptly as it sounds, that's all the categories for the Stage 5 Ninja Awards this season. Yeah, I think I'm pretty excited for this one. I'll tell you right now, this might be our last time winning the Stage 5 Ninja Awards for A&W. Yeah, at this going point, I don't know if we're going to want to do a Stage 5 Ninja Awards for NW17 just because of how differently structured of a season it is. We also know that, like, it's more of going to be a renaissance season where we will see more returning obstacles than new ones, and it will kind of be a showcase of NW's catalog over the years, which I really do appreciate personally, but it will mean that, like, best new obstacle once again will not be in the playing cards most likely, although I'm sure there's still going to be a couple new obstacles here and there. I have no doubt, but just because of the competition being differently structured, there being no Vegas, I feel like how Stage 5 Ninja Awards usually works in the trademark and everything, I feel like it really shouldn't be in the playing cards for that year. And plus, like, we're kind of throwing around the idea of not even doing, we're kind of, and plus, we're not even going to be covering AW17 in the same way. And I think all three of us, we discussed this a little bit before this. We decided, like, it's most likely we'll be covering AW17 as an episode for the qualifiers, an episode for the semis, and then an episode for the finals, and that's it. Like, it's going to be that brief. We're just going to be going over each round very briefly, similar to how we did in AW14, where we just did a catch-up of the qualifiers. That's going to be our coverage for AW17. It's more calm. We don't have to take 90 minutes to cover full qualifiers. We can just roll with it, catch up, and keep ourselves on pace. And, yeah, it makes the most sense. And, yeah, I think that's it. I think it's, yeah, I think it's time to close this out. Yep, so, voting. For the fan vote, you guys, it's voting the same way as we've been doing the last couple of years here. We're going to be doing community posts, which will be linked in the description. One post for each category, so make sure to get your votes in. And I do mean that because last year was pretty disappointing in my opinion in terms of how many votes each category got, considering the previous year before that. Yeah, I will be toying with the YouTube algorithm and doing some things to maybe promote it a little bit more. You guys will see what I mean by that in the coming weeks. To note, this season we will have a much longer time for voting than usual. The last 2 years, during season 14, we gave fans 2 weeks to vote, and closed it 2 weeks after the episode came out. Last season, it was going to be 2 weeks, but then I extended it an extra week to try to get more votes in, which was fruitless in my opinion. Which looking back was kind of fruitless. But this season, it's going to be a little bit longer because the Sasuke 42 podcast is going to be coming in between this and the actual nominees. I also haven't started work on the tribute yet, though I do have a song in mind. So, waiting on those things will be a bit. It will be really likely that the actual episode where we actually announce the winners won't be out till fucking March. If I'm being completely honest. Yeah, you might be 18 by the time that comes out. I might be 18 by the time that comes out. I don't know. It depends. We're going to try to cover Sasuke 42 as quickly as possible. In that episode, we'll give you guys an update on that. I think it's more likely that, like, we'll probably close the votings once that episode comes out, like maybe the day of or like a couple days after that episode comes out. We'll probably decide on it then. As of now, though, they are open and they are staying open for at least 3 weeks. I think that's the minimum we can say that the Stage 5 Ninja Award. You guys have time to vote. That's a lot of time. So from the date that this episode comes out till a further date that we'll announce in the Sasuke 42 podcast. I think it will probably be like 2 or 3 days after that podcast episode comes out. And whenever we record that, we're gonna have to be like pretty advanced. I think if you want to be clear, like I feel like you should probably add that in post. While you're editing it, just so that way it is the correct date. Oh yeah, because that may change. But we'll keep you guys posted on that. But just get your votes in, honestly. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say, honestly, this year I'm really excited for the Stage 5 Ninja Awards. I'm glad that we had some brand new categories this year. I kind of like how I had to reformat it in order to make it work. This season, personally, for me, is one of my personal favorites. I really did enjoy season 16. I don't think it was amazing by any means, and the format changes really wasn't helping it, but the tension and it being a send-off season for Vegas Finals, it really made the season stand out, in my personal opinion. And you guys liked it too, as well, right? Oh yeah, definitely. Fuck yeah, that's one of my favorite seasons in years, honestly. I think season 13 was the last season that reached a high like this season did. Yeah, so the amount of enjoyment for the season was definitely up there. So it's nice to be able to close out on a season that we enjoyed talking about. Which, again, like the season 13 was probably the only season we were enthusiastically covering, and were at the end of our seats while we were watching it. Season 14 and 15, 14 was really one of the mill, and personally speaking, I think it's one of the more forgettable seasons of the show. And then season 15 was kind of clouded by the whole format changing thing, and overall the season really wasn't all that desirable in the grand scheme of things. But this season, huge improvement. I felt like just a lot of things were changed for the better, and I felt like the results pushed this season into a better season overall. I mean, we didn't have 8 people making Stage 3, and Stage 2 was pretty close in terms of a lot of the races, which is a huge improvement over Season 15. Yeah, we're kind of dragging out this outro a little bit, but sum it up, you guys have time to vote. Next episode will be Sasuke 42. We'll be covering that, and in that episode, we'll give a little bit of an update to how the awards are going, and give a final date on when they're going to be closing for you guys. But for now, just go out and vote. Go into the links in the description to check out the individual polls, and make sure to get your vote into every single poll. Honestly, just get your vote in there. Like, that's all I'm going to say. Just get your vote in there this season. I'm really excited for the Stage 5 Ninja Awards and to announce the winners, even if it is going to be a little bit. And I'm also excited for you guys to see the tribute as well, because I'm going to try to make it really big, because it also might be the last tribute I make. I don't think I'm going to make one for Season 17, honestly. So, yeah, I'm going to try to make it really big, and I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you guys are all excited for what's coming up in 2025, because there's some big things coming up. And, yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode of the podcast for Sasuke 42. And, yeah, peace.